Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of Grinding Gears, my new series that aims to help newer players improve at Gears of War. So today's episode is about aiming and the importance of having correct sensitivity. But before I get into that, I really wanted to thank everyone for the overwhelming and really amazing support I got from my first video. The video has gotten a lot of views, a lot of likes, and some pretty good comments, and a lot of new faces are in the comment section, so I'm really happy to see that. And please note that I am reading your comments. For some reason YouTube won't let me respond to the comments. I don't know why. I'm going to try to get that fixed or see if I have to reply via my phone. I don't know what's going on, but on the computer it's not letting me respond, so please know I am reading, and if you see that I've liked your comment, that means I have read it. And if I have to reach out, I'll try to reach out via YouTube comments or YouTube Messenger, however you can. I do believe it has a messaging system. It's been a long time since I've used it though. Alright, so today's episode is about aiming, and aiming is a very key thing to grasp when playing any shooter, whether you play Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Overwatch. Aiming is very, very important, and making sure you have a good aim goes a long way. Now, with the fast-paced, wall-bouncing environment of Gears of War, making sure you hit your target is even more important. Now, if you watched my last video, you know that I still have a long way to go to say that I have a comfortable grasp with my aim in this game. Now, I'm still very much adjusting to the feel of this game and really trying to get down a good sensitivity. And before I really get into any in-game stuff, I really wanted to discuss sensitivity with you because I feel that many newer players really don't look into the sensitivity options or change them at all. Now, in Gears of War, there are 3 different sensitivities that you can change, and finding the perfect balance between these 3 goes a long way. Now, personally, I'm really having difficulty finding my sweet spot when it comes to between these 3 sensitivities, so I'm still trying to figure it out. It's something that takes a while. Now, the 3 different sensitivities in Gears of War are the look sensitivity, which is hip firing, the target sensitivity, which is pressing the left trigger to aim, and the zoom sensitivity, which you click the right thumbstick in to zoom. Now, from my experience, it's best to have the look sensitivity be the highest, the target sensitivity be the middle ground, and the zoom sensitivity be the slowest. And that's just because when you're scoped in, you really only want to be making slight adjustments with your aim. You really want to line them up while holding left trigger and using the target aiming. But when you have free aim, when you're not aiming at all and just using the look sensitivity, you really want to be able to look around very fast. Now, as I said, finding the right mix of these sensitivities will come at time. So it's important to, once you pick sensitivity, just stick with it for a little bit and see what's working for you and what's not. Now, it's important to know that the base sensitivity is 10 across the board, so they're all the same. And personally, right now, I have mine at a 20 look sensitivity, a 17 target sensitivity, and a 15 zoom sensitivity. And the way you know what you have to do for your sensitivity is, if you're having a hard time catching up to your target, you might need to increase your sensitivity a little bit. If you notice that you have to over adjust because you're missing, because it's going too fast, well, then you probably have to slow it down a little bit. So that's really what you want to try to be aware of when you are aiming and just when you're playing the game. Now, before we get into some more in-game stuff, again, something that has to do before you actually are in-game, you have to realize that aiming has changed throughout the Gears of War series. So if you are a newer Gears player who has maybe only played Ultimate Edition before, you're going to have a bit of an adjustment time, because if you haven't played Gears of War 2 or 3, and you've only played the other ones, this game acts a little bit differently. In Gears of War 4, bullets fire out of the barrel of a gun, which, it's not like a given when you hear it. You hear it said and you're like, oh, well, duh, bullets come out of a gun. But that's not how it was in Ultimate Edition, or Gears of War 1, or Gears of War Judgment. In those games, bullets came out of the center of the screen, regardless of where your gun was. So, if you were good at blind firing shotguns, you might have a little bit hard time in Gears of War 4. Because whereas before you can just line the center of your screen with the opponent and pull the trigger and go, hey, I'm going to hit them. This game, it's not quite as easy. So, if you're coming from Gears of War Ultimate Edition and realize your Nasher battles are having a little bit of inconsistency compared to where you were in Ultimate Edition, or you're having a hard time, this is probably why. Those more experienced players or newer players who maybe play Gears of War 3 instead really won't have this issue that much. When playing Gears, knowing how to aim in any given situation is crucial. As I stated in my last episode, this game is all about movement, so there really isn't time to sit back and slowly aim and slowly hold up the left trigger and aim at people, especially when you're in close quarters combat. Now, this is why your look sensitivity should be the highest, because when you're moving around, rolling, sliding, and bouncing, you really want to be able to look around as fast as possible while maintaining control and still being accurate. When up close and personal, aiming is best done from the hip, and it's mostly done with the Nasher, the Overkill, and the Enforcer. So when blind firing, you really want to keep in mind where the barrel of your gun is in relation to your enemy, and try to picture like a cone shape coming out of the barrel of your gun, especially with the Nasher and the Overkill, to kind of get an idea of where the bullets are going to go and if you're going to be able to hit your opponent or not. Like I said, lining them up at the center of the screen doesn't really do anything for you, so just try to be aware of where they are in relation to the barrel of your gun, and if you see them in front, pull the trigger and, more likely than not, you will hit them. Now, there's also a technique that incorporates hitting the left trigger to aim and target aiming when in close quarters Nasher fights, and it's called pop shotting. This is when you aim from the hip and then quickly tap the left trigger to correct your crosshairs over the enemy and shoot. I'd say in a Nasher fight, I do this more times than not, as it makes aiming a lot more reliable and you are just that little bit more accurate. Most of the other guns really aren't accurate in blind firing. Now, sometimes you can use the Lancer when you're behind cover and just blind firing over cover, and sometimes that'll work. Also in cover, the Nasher could be reliable if people are on the other side of the cover from you. It's a good way to kind of just make people back off and try to avoid going for the grab, because if they go to grab you over cover and you just blind fire Nasher in their face, well, they're going to be in for a bad time, just say that. Also, if you search on YouTube, you might find a whole bunch of cool, really good no-scope montages with the sniper. Just kind of ignore those. I mean, if you want to watch them, go ahead. They're probably really cool, really well done, and those players are really skilled. But as a beginner, someone learning the game from the beginning and just trying to get fundamentals down, that's not something you want to model your game after. You really want to learn the basics and learn it right. And, if you get good with the sniper rifle and, accuracy is not really a problem later on in your Gears of War career, feel free to go crazy. But in the beginning, you really want to keep it simple and just learn the basics. Now, target aiming is the best way to use most of the other weapons. The best time to target aim is when an enemy is at medium to long range. Like I said before, if an enemy's too close, unless you have your target sensitivity really high and close to your look sensitivity, it's not beneficial to you to try to aim like that. Now, target firing from behind cover is generally a really good idea, as when you let go of the left trigger, you'll drop behind cover, and having that extra cover is just really, really useful. You can definitely target aim from just walking around in the open, but you don't have that added security blanket of having cover. And like I said, if you slide into cover, hit left trigger to pop over and aim. As soon as you let go of that trigger, your character's right behind cover. So it's just a nice way to be safe and to shoot, and it's not that bad of a habit to get into. Now, there's a really, really important feature that I know a lot of newer people don't use when aiming down the sights, and this is called the spotting system. Now, in Gears of War, if you click the left stick while aiming at an opponent, you will mark them. A little red circle will go over their character, and your teammates will be able to see this. This is almost one of the most invaluable things that people just don't know, or they just don't do very often. This can help your teammates realize where an opponent is. If you can see them, just because you can see them doesn't mean your opponent or your teammates can. So it's very, very important to spot and it's just a really good habit to get into. It can really open up some form of communication in your team, especially if you don't play with a mic. Being there with a mic is great to help call out where the enemy is, but if you can spot and you have a whole team of people spotting the other team, well, it's really, really useful. You'll have a better time and you'll be just more aware of where the enemy is. Also, hitting your tactical view with the left bumper will make players who are spotted highlighted in red, and you can see if they're crouched down, you can see if they're aiming, you can see where they're looking, and it's just really, really useful to get a lot of great information just by using this one feature. And it's just as simple as clicking in the left thumbstick when you're aiming at an enemy. So it's just really useful to do, and it's something that I don't see new players do enough. I really can't stress how important it is. Alright, that's really all I have to say about aiming today. As I said last time, going into co-op versus and fighting the AI bots is a great place to practice, get comfortable with your sensitivity, try new ones out. It's a great place to try the sniper rifle in a stress-free environment and really just go over all these different things in a much more stress-free environment. Learning how to pop shot, learning how to aim while hip firing with the Nasher. All these different things can be practiced there in a stress-free environment before going online and having to go against actual other humans. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.